Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome.
Okay, wait. I thought we decided we weren't going to formally introduce.
I know that. I just wanted to put that in. It's your introduction.
I know, it's my introduction. So what I've decided we're going to do today is to talk about your haircut first, because it was the first thing I noticed. And so for those of you out in the crowd, David got a haircut. It looks very short. One might call it a buzz cut. And so tell us, is this your usual haircut, David? Is this what you walk
Yes.
with on a regular basis?
Yes.
So what do you ask for when you get to go to a bar? Do you go to a lady?
Yeah. Yeah. I go to. I think I go to Supercuts, or I used to go to a barber shop. I mean, to me, it's not that big of a deal as far as who does it. It's the same haircut and everything else. So
You were telling me before we started rolling, you get a number 0?
Okay, so for everybody that does,
like bald. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
you were not bald.
it is.
You were just very buzzed.
Yeah. So so for everybody out there, so anybody who does hair is going to know what I'm talking about. So when you go get your haircut, they offer for men, they have a variety of numbers, 0 through 3, I think, and so 0 is the absolute, takes everything off, like bald.
Yeah.
Worse than military.
Right.
And then as you progressively go up. So I get a 0.
3? I think it's
a that. I think a 3 is, I'm not sure.
Something all the way.
Anyways.
Okay, continue.
So the reason I get a 0 is because I'm on medication that actually my hair grows extremely fast. And he
has a good head of hair, ladies and gentlemen, which is rare in these times. So congrats.
So thank you. Now I am going to have to get this haircut in 2 weeks.
Really?
Like I go, and I shouldn't, but I go months without getting it cut. And if anybody, so the picture, so anybody who's listening to the podcast and follows this knows that's a nice head of hair on there, and it's like it looks professional, but it's not. But seriously, so I ended up getting it cut the other day, last week.
Okay.
And so it's been only 4 days.
I'm gonna interrupt.
And
wait, so it was even shorter?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, David, what do I need to do to convince you to maybe try a different haircut, just in case? Like, just something maybe a little bit more stylish?
I have had, believe it or not,
0?
Well, I've had a flat top. I don't know. Do you know what that is?
Was it the 90s?
No.
It wasn't? No, you didn't carry it into the thousands, did you?
I did.
Oh, no.
As a matter of fact, I've had a couple of, and
it's not the style I was thinking for you, but honestly, I'm sure you rocked it.
As a matter, okay. So I'm going to get up real quick. I'll be, we're rolling right now, but I want to show you a picture.
Yeah, I know. You can show.
Hold on. You can.
No. We'll show.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
And then we'll put it on the Instagram. Oh my gosh! All right. Well, he left. It's just me now. So I've always been really into hair. I am a hair person. I have had all the hair, and now I'm actually a hair TikTok influencer. You can find me at Elisa Ivers. I'm a curly hair specialist. So yeah, hair has always been like a big part of my life, which is probably why I was like, "What happened to your head, David?" So he's gonna show.
So I'm back, and I'm gonna put it up on the Instagram too. But I wanted to show her first.
Yeah, show me first, so I can. Oh, I can barely see it, guys. Yeah, bring it a little closer, maybe. Okay, yeah. All right. So basically what I'm getting from this, you guys, is that David is a gym coach from 96, and he's just missing the whistle, and also like basically the tiny gym shorts, and then like telling everybody to keep running. That's what that looks like.
But yeah, no. So that was back in 2017.
Okay. Okay, well,
so yeah,
for a new cut, and I'll be sending you pictures of what you should be looking for. All right.
Okay.
What are we doing today? By the way, thank you for coming, everyone. This is Real Talks. We talk about movies. We talk about movie news. We talk about celebrities. We're even going to start watching movies that we've never seen before that are embarrassing that we haven't seen them, considering we're movie people. And then we're going to start reviewing them, and that's going to be on Rewatch Wednesdays. Wait, what are we calling it? Rewatch Wednesdays.
Yes, Rewatch Wednesdays.
Rewatch Wednesdays, everybody. I'm going to watch things that I should have watched, such as, I thought of another one. I haven't watched Snatch. I haven't watched.
Oh, I haven't seen Snatch either, so that's.
We could do one together.
So that's good.
I haven't seen. I think it's called like Hot Fuzz.
No, I haven't seen that one. That's with
things that people talk about when they talk about things.
So the first 3 weeks of this is already planned out. Yeah. So as a matter of fact, I just sent Alicia the trailers for Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender and Kate Winslet.
Yes.
Unbelievable movie directed by Danny Boyle. Mm-hmm. And then an all-time great film that I don't know if she's a movie fan. I don't know. And by the way, if your brother hasn't seen this, I'll be shocked too. Is Heat?
No, well, yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, so I sent her the trailer
on the pod for that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch the trailer. I'm going to go in completely like not knowing anything.
Oh,
yeah. I don't want to.
Anybody who has seen this trailer that I'm talking about, it's okay.
Yep.
You're going to love it. And by the way, it doesn't seem like 3 hours. And coincidentally, before we get started today, so Michael Mann, as anybody, famous director, he's put out 12 or 13 films, including Collateral, Miami Vice.
Yeah.
He's done all of these other films. He actually just wrote or co-wrote Heat 2.
Right,
and this has been like 30 years.
Like a thing, because I just don't know why anybody would build on something that most people consider to be like a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, and it really, yeah. So, anyways, but that was in the past. We're going to move on to the future. We have a lot to get to today, guys.
Yeah. Oh, excellent! And I don't know any of it, so I'm going to be blind reacting to whatever the hell.
So I have there's actually 5 stories. Well, we may go with only 4. So you have your choice of sad news, birthday, streaming. So yeah.
So wait,
I would say this.
You have one more.
Yeah. So you have your choice of sad news, birthdays,
streaming,
or Ezra Miller.
Another Ezra Miller.
Which one do you want? Yeah, and I'll tell you which one it is.
Save that one just because we continue to talk about
it.
Okay, let's do streaming because I'm in the mood for more shows or movies.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, if you have HBO Max, you're not going to be getting more shows. According to a lot of...
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
According to HBO Max, they are pulling 20 original titles from their streaming collection. And this is to basically combine and collaborate and everything else, all of their streaming catalogs. And Friday is the first one to put this out. And what this is going to do is they're going to save money on not only the shows themselves, but the residuals for the shows.
Okay.
And they're going to cut everything that is basically disposable. And so, nonetheless, so they're going to get rid of 20 shows. And, it's just, I've always said that this whole thing isn't going to get completely sorted out until the end of the year. Once January 1st comes, then we're going to see a brand new, Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever. And on the other side of the coin, okay, not only are they cutting their shows, but they just laid off 14% of its staff this week.
HBO.
HBO Max.
Aren't they putting a paywall up? Did you already say that? They're like doing extra.
Well,
you want to do the... Okay.
Well, they probably will at some point because they're going to have to recoup their money.
Yeah, like a membership, and then you got to get the special membership for things.
And so HBO Max has, ever since the earnings call a couple weeks ago, they've been slashing and burning. They've been not only cutting shows, they've been cutting, employees, They just canceled the $90 million streaming movie Batgirl, starring Leslie Grace, who, they worked on that for over a year, and they cut that. So, I mean, they're just slashing and burning at this point to try and take care of what they have to. So, but yeah, so they're going to be cutting 20 shows, and,
I know they cut Generation.
Yep.
And they cut
Summer Camp Island, Infinity Train, a bunch of other things. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
But you know what? This is interesting because HBO is considered, in my opinion, to be one of the top tier streaming platforms, and we've been kind of scoffing at Netflix, which has honestly been like drilling out mediocre work for a while, and then every once in a while they do something really, really good, like The Queen's Gambit. Or like the Irishman. Anyway, so we've been making fun of them for cutting a whole bunch of people and shit, and then now HBO's doing it. What do you think is going on that all these cuts are being made in like staff? Do you think there's something we don't know? Like there's something we should be looking out for? Like what you would think streaming is at an all-time high. Everyone I know watches all the shows, like the same shows, and like.
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, I think your Netflix has been in trouble. So getting back to what you were talking about, Netflix and HBO Max, Netflix they've just been in a nosedive for the last 6 months. I mean, between layoffs, the biggest problem with Netflix is that they don't have any ad revenue. So you cannot advertise your shows on it. So as a matter of fact, I believe at the end of this calendar year, they're going to be losing. So Netflix is going to be losing maybe 10 or 12 major shows in their licensing, and it's going away. So when you hear about a streaming service spending $600 million, for example, it's all about the licensing. So, for example, The Office is no longer going to be on Netflix. Friends is no longer going to be on Netflix. A bunch of other shows, I don't have it in front of me, but there are a bunch of other shows that are people, we were just talking about Rewatch Wednesdays, rewatch shows, literally, seasons and seasons and seasons and seasons. So that's something. Mm-hmm. Then when you have, a streaming company like a Netflix spend $150 million on The Irishman.
Yeah.
With, arguably one of the greatest casts of all time, director, everything else, and they used all this CGI. The problem is they're not getting any of this money back. It's not like this was released in theaters and it made $100 million domestic or $100 million overseas. So where are you going to get that back? And what you were just referring to is the paywall. This is how they're going to start doing advertising. And, no commercials and everything else. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the streaming service is going to survive, because a lot of people, they're not going to want to pay an extra $3 or $4.
No.
It's kind of like YouTube TV. Well, you don't have to pay. You have to pay this much in order to get no ads. Well, are people actually going to do that? And here's something else. The theaters have been thriving for the past I've talked about this before. I call it the summer of the comeback.
Right.
Okay? Well, we've had 5 movies make over $100 million opening weekend, and the amount of money,
which is like
was almost $3 billion. And if you actually want to go back and listen to the midsummer report I did, you can do that. But it's just one of those things where it's made $3 billion. Now, all of that being said, I think people are going to want to put their dollar into a theater rather than a streaming service, because what you were just talking about, like The Queen's Gambit and The Crown and all of these great shows, Netflix can't market to save their lives. Yeah. For every one show that they have that's fabulous, they have 4 or 5 other shows that are terrible.
Yeah.
And
100%. It's almost
those
like they crank them out. Although I have to note, by the way, for all those all the people out there that do watch the good Netflix shows, they dropped two really popular ones that are back, and it's funny because they're both like Indian culture related. One is Never Have I Ever, and the other one is Indian Matchmaker, and they dropped them both in very close proximity. And I have to say, like, I think those are two of some of the most like popular shows, and then there'll be nothing. Then there won't be anything for a long time. So
now, let me ask you a question. So Disney Plus has figured out that if you do week by week, and as a matter of fact, I just started watching She-Hulk today, and we might actually do. It was only 30 minutes. I've gotten through about half of it, but I love it.
Okay, cool.
I love it. So I'm going to do. I might go on a space tonight and talk about She-Hulk. But nonetheless, by the way, if you do want to join me on the space on Twitter, come join me. The handle, if you can follow me, my handle is Wannabe Rounder. That's WANNABEROUNDER. But nonetheless, let me ask you this question. Would you be subject to somebody that is like binging, like you'll watch all the shows of your favorite show in one sitting? Or would you rather a week by week by week periodical basis?
Okay, for my mental health and overall motivation, they should only be giving me one a week, honestly, because I will sit down and binge all of it. And it's hard for me to have self-control about that, although I've gotten better at it over the years, I'd say. Because like maybe I'll watch it while I'm doing something where I can, and then I'll turn it off. But it's like the need to like keep, it's like reading a really good book. It's all there for you. You can just keep reading. So I feel like it kind of brings you back to the original TV platform in order to like have to wait. But then I honestly often feel like the seasons are too short, or like, oh, that's it. Like when you're waiting one episode. So, anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the thing about, and that's why you have like a show like WandaVision. That's the number one show in the world, because it was, it's a progressive thing from week to week to week, and now with She-Hulk, it's and all these other things, it's like Disney Plus has figured it out. Anyways, enough about streaming. So, where do you want to go to next?
Next thing I want is sad news. Let's do sad news.
Okay. So, Wolfgang Peterson, a Hollywood director. Now, you probably don't know the name off the top of your head, but I'm sure have you seen The Perfect Storm with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, yeah. In fact, underrated in a lot of ways. Okay, continue.
Air Force One?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
In the Line of Fire?
Not that one.
Yeah. So, Troy is probably, it is a Brad Pitt movie, but I don't think you would have seen that. But, anyways, Wolfgang Peterson died over the weekend. And so he passed away.
One.
Yeah. So, his list of films, though, is pretty astounding. And he also did Das Boot, which basically is...
Dude, that was a crazy film. I had to take war films, or I didn't have to. I chose to take war films in college, which is honestly, that was one of the most interesting classes I've ever taken. Das Boot was probably one of my favorites. It was so, like, freaky. It was submarine, right? It was a submarine one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy film.
Yeah, I was nominated for 6 Oscars.
Damn.
So he passed away, and so his very first film was in 1984, The Never-Ending Story.
Oh no! I used to watch that, and now I literally don't know how. I am a traumatized person, but not necessarily because of that movie, but it could be because it was a very traumatizing movie.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he passed away. But yeah, so it's one of those things where you get to actually watch the films and you go, wow, I forgot how good this was. Maybe you haven't seen it in a while or whatever. So, but yeah, Wolfgang Peterson, We lost him at 81. So, okay. So now we've got a couple left. We've got birthday. So we've got a birthday, 2 birthdays,
Okay.
and a new picture,
Okay.
and Ezra Miller.
Let's go Ezra to get him out of the way, because I literally don't know how possibly, like, he could. Is this another thing, or is this an update on the?
No. Believe it or not, this is actually. So he's come in. I think he may have something.
He brought him.
He's going to go get help. So he's going to go seek treatment for his quote complex mental health issues.
Okay. Which honestly,
so that
we believe he has.
He issued a statement the other day, and he said, having gone through some recent a time of intense crisis in my life, I now understand that I'm suffering from complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I'm committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage of my life. So this is good. This is a good thing. Not only for him personally, not only for him professionally, but now Warner Brothers can move on.
It's 100% good for him professionally, and it's definitely good for Warner Brothers. Do I believe these are the sentiments of the actual Ezra Miller? I don't. But, I think his publicist wrote a really good.
And so now there are a couple of other. Go ahead and finish your thought.
This means that he's going to get the treatment he clearly needs. If it's because, maybe he finally got iron, his feet were put to the fire, perhaps like something really big was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. I got to go in, or whatever it is. Getting treatment is good. I'm hoping that it was his choice to do so, because I'm sure if anybody knows addicts or know anything about addiction, unless they choose to do anything about it, not that he's an addict, but like getting help in any way needs to be the, by the way, I keep saying he and I should say they, but getting the help that they need needs to be their choice and not a business decision. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. This is good, as I said, not only for him as a person, not only for him professionally, but Warner Brothers can now breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief, because
they don't have a felony.
Now they have, now a couple of things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, they have a window. They have a window of about 6 or 8 months before The Flash comes out, which means if he
can get his shit
can actually, that's what I was going to say. If he can actually get better, if they can get better, what ends up happening is now maybe they can go to press for that.
No.
And so
I thought I muted.
And so then what ends up happening is that with DC, with all their slashing and burning and everything, Warner Brothers Discovery, maybe they can actually start a quote hard reset of the DCEU, because that's what David Zaslav wanted.
They've been trying to hard reset for so long.
And the thing is, The Flash was going to be the beginning of the reset. Well, now maybe things can get actually put on schedule.
You did the wrong cart.
No, you're right.
They took off.
Well,
him, so yeah.
Now we'll see if this gets pushed back. I mean, so it's supposed to come out the end of July, and then the next week is Indiana Jones 5, whatever about that. But the point is, let's see how. I'll be curious to see by the beginning of the first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
If they're able to actually go to press.
Yeah. Well,
go do interviews.
I almost feel like if all goes well, which, since when does that ever happen? But if he happens to pull Robert Downey Jr., then maybe they can push it to fall films, which is, or not fall, winter, like winter, the magic time when you can release something and it becomes like a very big possibility of, a good comeback or whatever. I think that would be smart if they need.
I'll be honest with you. You bring up a great point, and I don't even think you realized you did. If I'm Ezra Miller And I know there's a couple different things there. If I'm Ezra Miller, and you know that maybe not him personally, but his agent might, or, through connections, I'm reaching out to RDJ.
Oh, yeah. Imagine.
And be like, hey, listen, I need some advice, guy. I know you went through some things in, your time. I need to talk to you. And how did you get clean? And how did you stay clean? And how did you, this, and this, and go from there? Because you may see, if this all goes well, you may see the second coming of an Ezra Miller.
Well, okay, listen, though. Robert Downey Jr. was way more famous than Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is kind of a blip on the radar who seems to just not stop making noise. Whereas Robert Downey Jr. was brilliant, even when he was all fucked up. Like, I mean, when he played Charlie Chaplin, like, it was just, he had a career and then he ruined it. And everyone was like, man, that's too bad. He was so talented. He had such a good career. And then he, made a comeback. So I just feel like, I don't feel like Ezra Miller has the star power, but he could maybe he could.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course,
I mean,
out to anybody who has gone through a really rough patch publicly and then come back and was able to make something of themselves. I mean, who would have thought that RDJ would have done what he did with, a superhero movie, much less. So yeah, that's a possibility.
And the fact that we're still talking about him.
True.
I mean, granted, it was only a week.
Good press, but apparently.
Yeah, but the fact that we're still saying his name, and he may not be as big as a Robert Downey Jr., but he's still in the news.
Yeah.
He's still being talked about. So publicity right there is that's good as gold. So it's good. This is a to be continued situation.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very curious to see what happens by the first of the year. Because if he can then, and I wouldn't be shocked. Don't be shocked in February of next year. If they think things are going well, don't be shocked if Warner Brothers spends $10, $12 million and puts a Flash trailer out on the Super Bowl.
And in that way, it's like, we're not doing it right now, but get ready. It'll be sort of like the soft opening, like they're testing.
Absolutely.
You're going to see people come out of the woodwork saying like, no, he's a bad person. I have to say, Ezra Miller, I mean, the cancel culture has calmed way down. So, I mean, not completely, obviously. People are still getting canceled, but I have to say, if they had pulled this shit a couple years ago, forget it. You're done. Like, you're absolutely done. Never come back to this town again. It's over. There was absolutely no mercy. But I have to say that rehabilitation and, kind of seeing a comeback is something I think everybody really needs right now. So really,
yeah,
this could be great for him. Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on though to birthday.
Yeah, so now that that's done, we've got a birthday in an upcoming movie.
Yeah,
and yeah, so it's basically birthdays.
Yeah.
Which one? So, all right. So I did another podcast with somebody else. So everybody knows James Cameron.
Yes. Well,
Avatar, Aliens, Terminator.
If you don't know who James Cameron is, turn us off and listen to
it. Exactly. There's plenty of movies. Just go watch them. Come back. So James Cameron just turned 68.
Wow.
And yeah. And so, of course, and as I said in the other podcast the other day, he's probably the biggest director, not named Spielberg, Scorsese, or Stone in Hollywood. Just because, and the amount of money that his movies have generated is insane. It's almost like, I don't have the number in front of me, it's close to $7 billion. He has directed two $2 billion films. He has 3 Oscars. I mean, what he's done for the whole technology of 3D and CGI is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm. No, he's kind of the father of, like, I'm going to put a movie out with very little script or character development, but it's gonna be really cool. Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, like it's just sort of
So,
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and so he, of course, The Way of Water is coming out in a couple months, and then it's interesting because everybody's looking for. I mean, that's probably the second biggest movie left this year, next to Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, the couple years after that, we got Avatar 3. Couple years after that, that's already filming, by the way.
Yep.
Avatar 4 is already, so that's all those are filming or going to be in post production. So every 2 years after that, you're going to have Avatar 4 and 5. So, if this is any indication of how much money this movie is going to make, they're going to have to print money. And I said this the other day, and I really believe this. This universe, and that's what this is, really a universe. This could be the next Star Wars. Not merchandising, but just in general when you think about it. Because you're following these characters. You are, you're having a movie come out every couple of years. So it's not, totally hitting you over the head with it. And yeah, so I really believe that. And I wouldn't be shocked. Don't be shocked if one of these, movies in the next 4, 5, or 6 years gets nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Just because of that.
Honestly, well, I'd see it getting a nom. I mean, didn't the first Avatar? Well, I mean, they got nominations.
I got nomination, but it didn't get Best Picture. I'm talking.
Like
I really believe.
Yeah, if the script. Well, so I sort of I don't completely take back what I said about, like, there's not going to be much, like, words and there's not going to be much character development. I have to say, maybe I was talking more about Michael Bay movies. But anyways, James Cameron kind of does that too, where he's like, I'm going to lean way heavy into the special effects. Now, Avatar was just such a lovely marriage of all of the things. Not necessarily script, because there wasn't actually a whole lot of talking, but the character development was very much the hero's journey. So I felt like it was clean. It worked really well. And so I think you're right. I think there's a great possibility that this could become so big, like Star Wars, for like the end of Gen Z and the beginning of Gen Alpha, especially. Because for the most part, it's pretty family friendly-ish, but it just, I'm honestly, I've been like really excited for it because Avatar was just mind blowing to me.
So anybody who doesn't know, and I actually have to go see it. This is true, ladies and gentlemen. I have not seen Avatar. However, it is getting re-released for Labor Day. So I am going to go see it and sit through 2.5 hours and find out why everybody loves this movie so much.
Wait, you
that and I've never seen Avatar.
Oh no!
I know.
That one. Oh my gosh!
I know.
Well, wait. I don't feel like you can just watch it at home and have like a good idea.
No. I'm going to go to the theater.
Oh, thank God!
Okay. It's being re-released in theaters.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, I'll go see it in theaters.
Anyone out there that has not seen it needs to see it in theaters. It's kind of like Maverick. You cannot watch Maverick for the first time in your home theater. Like, forget that. Not only that, I bet they're going to enhance Avatar. I bet they're going to enhance it to a bunch of other really cool technological new things that they didn't have back when they released it before.
Remastered?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
And by the way, speaking of Maverick, that was in its 12th week. It made another $1.5 million. It's going to be on VOD, I think, next week, and it's only $1.5 million behind Infinity War. $1 million. It's probably, I haven't looked at the numbers today, but by the weekend, for sure, it's going to pass Infinity War.
Okay. That's pretty crazy. I don't think it was better than Infinity War, to be honest.
No. I'm just saying that for domestic purpose.
I mean, the money is important. And the fact that it's doing this is just insane. But at the same time, I am grateful that Maverick brought everyone back into theaters.
I think Spider-Man No Way Home did that. To be honest with you, I really think Spider-Man No Way Home did that.
Okay.
Because that was really the first movie, if you look at it, nobody thought it was going to blow up for $250 million opening weekend. And then on top of all of that, it just stayed in the top 5 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So, I mean, and I will say one other thing about that had a great advantage is that between that December window and, I think a couple months in there wasn't anything really like a major blockbuster, not blockbuster, but a major picture that was coming out that was going to be there. So, anyways, but yeah, so which we were just talking about Maverick. So the last thing on the radar today is Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro actually just celebrated the birthday yesterday. But I think he's like 74 now, 75? He's up there. Speaking of
De Niro, he's getting old.
But the biggest thing about De Niro is that he's going to be starring in a new movie called Wise Guy. And Wise Guy is being written by the same guy that wrote Goodfellas. So, yeah. So he was born in Robert De Niro was born in 1943. So he just celebrated his, if my math is right, 79th birthday. So, but yeah, so he's going to be starring in a new movie called Wise Guys. He's actually going to be playing opposite himself too.
Oh.
So kind of like what Tom Hardy did in Legend a couple years ago. So as I said, yeah, it's going to be directed by Barry Levinson, who did Wag the Dog, but most notably known for Rain Man.
Yeah,
and it follows a crime boss, Vito,
because it's Robert De Niro,
and exactly Vito Genovese and Frank Costello, who ran their respective families during the 20th century, and one of them tried to kill the other one and missed. But yeah, so I mean, that's going to be a fascinating just to see how he's going to play off each other, himself. I'm curious to see who the other. So they've only announced De Niro. I'm really curious to see who they get to come back and get as the other person, because there are going to be other stars in there.
Right.
I'll be very curious to see how that happens.
It's playing two of them. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know we were talking about Heat a little while ago, and you're having Barry Levinson directed, who's won an Academy Award for Rain Man.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, and Robert's had a great relationship with him. I don't know if you don't go get Al Pacino.
Mm-hmm. Dude. Well, I mean, like,
I think you have to.
Loves the mob people getting back together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be great for mob.
I mean,
Mondays,
there's only. Yeah. That speaking of, what a great segue and what a great co-host. So speaking of Mob Mondays, that's going to be coming up by the end of the month. So the first 2 episodes are going to be, speaking of Nicholas Pileggi, who actually wrote Goodfellas, that's going to be the second film. The 2006 Best Picture winner, The Departed, is going to be the first film. You'll be getting both of those. Then we're going to be doing one a week after that. It's going to be $6.99 a month. And then we're going to be doing LA Confidential after that, Scarface after that, The Untouchables, all of the good ones.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Hey.
But yeah, so anyways. I would love to do that. Are we starting
next week?
This is all going to be based on... Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so,
if you find the time to sit down and watch Steve Jobs, doesn't matter. Steve Jobs?
I'll watch Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I'll sit down and rewatch it tonight then.
microphone to do podcasts with, and somehow it just makes me feel extra podcasty. So maybe we'll just get into it. Since here in Alaska, it's really dreary in fall, so I don't really care about being outside. So we'll just watch movies.
But I will. So a couple of things right off the top are like there's a couple of, and we're going to be wrapping this up momentarily. But there's a lot of, because of the films that are not in the theaters right now. There's a lot of streaming stuff that is I'm starting to watch, and like She-Hulk, I'm dying to sit down and watch the rest of this episode. I think this is going to be great. The other one I'm really looking forward to seeing is Prey on Hulu. Everybody I've been talking to says this is magnificent. The best movie since Predator. And lastly,
okay.
the other one is
I've never seen Predator, like ever.
Really? So Predator, it's a 1987 movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers and others, and they,
my cousin
but it's
obsessed with it.
Oh, yeah. So I got to sit down and watch Prey. And there's, of course, the big one that's dropping this Sunday, which I said we were going to do, but, I will be doing Spaces for. And that's House of the Dragon, the prequel to Game of Thrones. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to get HBO Max and sit down and watch this. And, definitely it's in... So it looks really good.
Again, I'm hoping maybe we can get him on a pod. I don't even know which one we talk about it on. Maybe this one. But it's like 1,700 podcasts. But we'll be looking at for sure. I mean, we're big Game of Thrones fans. We're all about the, we're excited. I just really, really hope it's a home run because obviously it's a huge fan base.
This first episode, I think there's if the love and care is taken as I think they will and have done it, then I think this is just going to be it's going to be an amazing show. So, and I know that from what I've heard that they're going to do others down the pipeline, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Other lore,
other prequels,
rounds and stuff. Okay, that would honestly, I would love that. I would love an Arya Stark spinoff. Maybe when she's older, when the actress has done enough other projects there, she feels like she's far enough away from Game of Thrones. It'd be sick if she would do some sort of spinoff.
Yeah. I mean, Macy Williams, I wouldn't be shocked if she came back. I mean. The other thing, I mean, kind of off topic, I'm going to be curious to see how many people subscribe to this.
I know.
Because let's face it, HBO right now is in the toilet.
Well,
I mean, with all the stuff going on right now.
They have everyone by the walls with this one. Everybody.
Yeah, they really, you hit it right on the head. They really do.
They were like, oh, you want your Game of Thrones? Oh, well, here you go. This, they're dangling it, and we're like, please.
Is it, yeah. Well, I think the other reason too is anybody who's a massive Games of Thrones watcher, anybody will tell you that last season sucked.
Oh yeah, it was the worst. I want to say
Sucked sucked.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible for sure. So this
was
a redemption
horrible.
So that we almost forget that ever happened, it was a fever dream.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Now, do we have anything
it was
to talk about on the pod? I'm trying to think. I think we covered it.
Not this week.
Okay.
But as I said, we've been talking about a lot of stuff coming up. This not only streaming but in general. So let's quickly. I'm going to be doing Twitter Spaces on She-Hulk.
Yep.
And I'm going to be doing Twitter Spaces on House of the Dragon. So anybody that wants to come join me, go for it. I'd love to hear all your comments and thoughts and whatnot about that. I do have as far as podcasts are concerned, I do have a movie critic named Pat Walsh. We actually just did an interview the other day. It's ready to go up. So we were talking about everything and anything about that.
All right.
And then, so we're gonna start Rewatch Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the end of this month. So by the end of this month, the goal is to get you guys Mob Mondays and Rewatch Wednesdays. Each one of those is going to be a $6.99 paywall. Don't worry though, you're going to be getting a shout out for each and every single podcast. Not only those, but all of the other ones. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com. Check that out. Just type Real Talks into the search bar, and you'll see all of the levels we have there. They're pretty cheap. Don't worry,
guys. Come on, just give us a follow
and
support the arts. And basically, I'm not going to beg you, but basically, I'm begging. Please. So, just do that, please.
If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, I'm noticing a lot of people listening on Apple Podcasts. They're listening, but they're not following. Follow us, guys. It's free. It's not going to cost you anything. You can hit me up, as I said, on Twitter. We're going to talk movies or whatever. Where can they find you on social media, though? That's the question.
They can find me on Instagram at Elisa Ivers, ElisaIvers. And then also, while you were busy getting your lanyard that showed me the flat top that you had, which you absolutely should never do again, I was telling the audience that I actually am a curly hair influencer on TikTok. Saying I'm an influencer honestly makes me cringe, but whatever. Brands pay me to do things, so I feel like that makes me entitled to not cringe about it. But still, I'm very into hair, so you can follow me on TikTok as well if you want. It has nothing to do with movies, though, whereas this podcast does have to do with movies. So there you go.
Cool.
Yay.
All right. I think that's it.
Well,
until next week.
I'm going to do the outro.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Real Talks. I'm Elisa Ivers, and
is David Steele.
He's David Steele, and we appreciate you all, and we'll see you another time.